Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Dr. Hubert, you can start the meeting and hand over the meeting to Dr. Shweta Singh. Okay.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Today discussion, lovers of homeopathy, students and doctors. Topic of discussion is problems facing the students of homeopathy. I invite the panel members, Dr. SHIBASHIS MUKHERJEE, Kolkata, Dr. Kanchan UPRETI, Rajasthan, and Mr. ABHISHEK Singh, Mumbai. I invite moderator, Dr. Shweta Singh. You are all welcome here. And now you can start your moderator. You can start now.
Thank you so much, sir. Hello, everyone. I, Dr. Shweta Singh, welcomes you all in the 1844th day of uninterrupted daily webinar of IFPH. Kindly mute yourself. International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy, which is an international homeopathic humanitarian organization formed to bring together the global promotion of homeopathy and to bring together homeopathic movements, activists, and activities worldwide under one umbrella. I'll be the moderator of today's session. And before beginning the session, let's have a 1 minute silent prayer. Thank you, everyone. Today, we are going to have a discussion on an excellent topic, that is challenges of research in homeopathy. And let me introduce our esteemed panelist to all of you. Mr. Abhishek Singh, BHMS second year, Nehru Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Delhi University. Dr. Kanchan UPRETI, gold medalist BHMS from the Nehru Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, New Delhi, homeopathic physician, researcher, international speaker, and author. Dr. Shibashish Mukherjee, a worthy son of Dr. Padmini Mukherjee, a retired medical officer from West Bengal. Dr. Shibashish completed the BHMS from the Calcutta Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital and MD from State Lal Bahadur Shastri Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Prayagraj. Currently, he is Assistant Professor, Department of Gynecology and Obstetrics. Thank you, all of you, for joining us today. And as research in homeopathy is vital to validate its clinical efficacy and ensure evidence-based practice, it helps bridge the traditional medicine wisdom with healthcare. However, conducting research is accompanied by numerous challenges and struggle, which we shall be discussing in today's webinar with our panelists. Let me put my first question to Mr. Abhishek Singh.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, sir. And since homeopathy treats patients holistically, not just diseases, how can research models adapt to this approach?
Okay. So the whole foundation of homeopathy is this, that we do not just treat the disease, we treat the person as a whole. Okay. That means we are looking at the mental state, the emotions, the physical complaints, lifestyle, even those little unique factors that belong only to that individual. Now the challenge is conventional research does not usually work that way. It is very reductionist. It picks one marker, one symptom, and tests just that. But homeopathy does not fit neatly into that box. So how do we change? So first we need a multi-dimensional outcomes. For example, take someone with arthritis. We shouldn't only check how far their joints can move. We should see also their energy, their sleep, their mood. Tools like MYMOP, that means Measure Yourself Medical Outcome Profile, are great here because they let the patient decide what matter most to them and then track that over time. Second, we need a pragmatic trial designs. See, explanatory trial work in an artificially highly controlled lab-like setting, but in real life, that's not how treatment happens. Pragmatic trials are done in the real world settings and that preserve the individualized nature of homeopathy. And the third is the that composite scoring system. Instead of just one number, we combine clinically, psychologically, and even socially factors into a single score. That way, the change in a person as a whole actually gets captured. So basically, when we move away from the disease-specific outcomes and shift to a person-specific outcomes, we bring research into line with that homeopathy really stands for. Holistically healing without losing the scientific measurability. Yes, ma'am. You are
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Abhishek. And my second question is for Dr. Kanchan. And yeah, how can researchers handle the variability in prescriptions when two patients with the same diagnosis receive entirely different remedies?
So, first of all, this variability is not a flaw, but I would say it is a hallmark of homeopathy. So, the need is that the research must shift the approach, that is the grouping strategy. It should be shifted. First, cluster the disease by symptom pattern. So, instead of disease label, we should look for the concomitants and the modalities of the disease. For example, if we are doing the migraine studies, then we should not look for the disease as migraine. We should look for its symptoms, its concomitants, and its modalities. So it would be better clustering by symptom pattern. The second is post hoc remedy analysis. So we should look that which remedies were most effective for which of the symptoms. So if there is a group of symptoms, then we should look that which remedies were most effective for these number of symptoms. So it will be more easy. And the next is standardizing documentation. So it should be ensured that each prescription is accompanied by a complete totality of the symptoms. And this helps in the meaningful uh, aggregation of the symptoms later as for the publication as well. And such designs such individuality, they allow the outflow of individualization along with the maintaining the meaningful perspective of homeopathy. So this is the approach which I believe should be taken into consideration as a whole.
Very true. My next question is for Dr. SHIBASHIS. So, given limited funding, what cost-effective research design can still produce strong evidence for homeopathy?
Okay, now we know that the double-blind RCT happens to be the gold standard. But the
Definitely.
problem is it's very much resource intensive. So it's not always feasible that we will be doing that. So we must look for some powerful yet cost-effective alternatives. So let's start with the retrospective studies and reviews. Analyzing existing patient files and outcome trends can give us a foundational database for focus study. Then we may go for systematizing and aggregating cases and case series. Actually, all our clinicians, they're sitting in a gold mine of clinical data. What we need is this data should be documented in a structured and evidence-backed manners. Probably a standardized portal for collecting, aggregating, and reporting of cases using some simple, precise, clinically relevant protocol could help. We may have those evidence collected, then get the promises, identify the promising remedies, the specific conditions, and then again provide a foundational basis for further advanced studies like a pragmatic trials or real world evidences. Now, when we conduct it in a real clinical set, artificial perfected lab controlled environment, it not only significantly cuts down a major infrastructural cost, it also, while being a real world data, it's highly relevant, and both for the patient and the policymakers. And then we have N of 1 trials, that is when a single patient receives different interventions. Say the patient would be receiving the treatment, then the same patient would be going for the placebo. And the same process is now repeated. It not only fits that inherent in the individualist treatment proponent of homeopathy, but also provides a high grade evidence for specific individuals. If we could create a powerful inferences from it, and the treatment effectiveness or in the larger population could be reflected from such studies. It could well be a replacement for a large RCTs at also in just a fraction of the cost. In short, our strategy would be to leverage our greatest assets. That is our clinical practice, our patient base, and then use some modern efficient research designs and create a collaborative database online. I guess that could be a sound alternative.
Yes, sir, it is very thought provoking, and we should promote retrospective studies more, definitely. And my next question is for Mr. Abhishek. Randomized control trials, RCTs, are considered to be the gold standard, as Dr. SHIBASHIS said already, in modern research. So, are they truly suitable for evaluating homeopathic treatments?
See, RCTs, that is randomized control trials, are famous because they reduce bias and help prove cause and effect.
Yes.
But the truth is, they are designed for treatments that are the same for everyone. One drug, one dose, and same method. Now, homeopathy is different. Here, even if two people have the same disease, they often get two different remedies. That's individualization. So when you put homeopathy inside the RCT model, problem shows up. First, no standardization because remedies differ from person to person. Second, wrong measurements. RCT focus on one narrow symptom, but in homeopathy, we look at the person as a whole, like sleep, energy, mood, daily life. Third, the ethics. If you give placebo and hold back the real individualized remedy in a serious or chronic case, that's not a fair to the patient. So what can we do instead? That N1 of trials, like when the same patient tries remedy and placebo in terms, so individualization stay intact. Pragmatic or cluster trials. These test homeopathy in real world settings, the way it is actually happened. And observational studies, while not as bias resistance as RCT, they reflect real world practice better. So yes, RCT are useful in many fields, but for homeopathy, they do not always fit naturally. We need designs that respect individuality and still give measurable, reliable results.
Sure. So my next question to Dr. Kanchan. In homeopathic clinical trials, how can placebo effects be separated from genuine therapeutic effects?
So placebo effects are very strong in all medicines, not only one. They are very strong in all medicines, but specifically, or you can say especially in those subjects where there is a detailed consultation. If the patient has given the consultation, if the consultation is taken in detail, then the placebo has a great effect. But there are still some ways to separate it, and very clear ways that we all know somehow who are into research. First is the double blind trial. So that is neither the prescriber nor the patient knows whether a placebo or a active remedy is prescribed to him or her. So this is one of the ways to separate it, and the first and very easiest way, which is very well known to all. The second is the objective outcome. So alongside with the subjective symptom relief, if we look for the objective outcome also, that is an aid to the homeopathy, and it also makes the case very strong while we publish it. Like if a patient has diabetes and patient after having homeopathic individualized medicine, he or she is getting relief. That is the subject. He tells us about the subjective symptom relief. So to make it more stronger and get it into more consideration, if we look for the objective outcome like the HbA1c and in other conditions like ESR and other, the lipid profile and all for other conditions, this makes the case stronger, and it also builds the trust of the patient and as well as the confidence of the physician as well. So this is the objective outcome. The third is the long-term follow-up. If we see placebo effect subsides after some time. It does not remain the same in the long run. But if we see the sustained benefits, then these sustained benefits points towards an active remedy, that these are the actions of some active remedy. So this is one of the differentiating point, and it is very highlighted. We all know. Next is active control group. Means the condition of the patient can be compared if one of them is taking the if they are taking individualized homeopathic consultation And also if someone is taking some proper care, standard care, or another active treatment. So these should be comparable. So if they are compared with the individualized homeopathy, then we can see the placebo effect and how the therapeutic effect of a particular remedy and the placebo effect can be differentiated.
Thank you. And Dr. Shibashish, how can homeopathy build multi-center research collaborations both nationally and internationally?
So our strength lies in our number, as we are discussing earlier. But the problem is it's fragmented. So what we need to collaborate and join these fragments, and thus we may utilize our full potential. So what we need is we need to standardize a protocol and create a common minimum program for the data. The biggest barrier for this collaboration is that we don't have a basic standardization. So we must agree on implementing a common set of data points that are to be collected from for every patient center of the clinic where he is being treated. So this should include some basic demographic data. Chief complaints should be recorded using some standardized scales or some parameters should be there. Then the exact remedy potency doses should be noticed, and the patient reported outcome measures, PROMs, which are readily available, should be used, and that should be standardized. Now, there should be an uniform, a single data sharing platform, which should be simple, secure, and cloud-based, that our modern internet provides us with these kinds of things. There we may store this data in as an anonymized case, then establish a national and international clinical research network. Probably some of you may have heard about hub and spoke models. So there should be a single central hub or multiple small hubs which would be standardizing the protocols, have the ethical oversight, and the data management should be handled from them. And the individual colleges, institutes, hospitals, and even the private clinics may act as a spoke. They should be providing the data. So this would create an uniform framework where a single college, a single well-designed study can be deployed across dozens of centers simultaneously, thus achieving a scale, a large scale could be achieved. Then we should go for a joint funding bids, large multi-institution projects which have a more credibility and thus a better funding chances. Then we should have international symposia to share our regular methodological updates, the results we are coming, and then focusing on international partnership and collaboration in a focused manner. So we should collaborate on specific areas, on focused projects should be developed with organization and institutes from other countries. Say, for example, we would partner with some institutes like Homeopathic Research Institute in UK for the respiratory illness, or with a German group for a dermatological condition, or with some other groups in Japan from a gastrointestinal disease. And then this will begin with an MOUs between India and international colleges for student exchange, and there could be joint research project, could be move, would cause or result from having an isolated effort and would result into a powerful unified scientific community as a whole. I think we could do that to have a multi-centric models and collaborative models in a national, international scale.
True. Mr. Abhishek, what are the common misconceptions about homeopathic research methods among other medical streams?
So first of all, that people often say, and we often hear it, that homeopathy has no research at all. But that's simply not true, as we all know. In fact, we already have hundreds of studies, clinical trials, observational work, even in vitro experiments, and many of them are indexed in PubMed. Second, there is this claim that because remedies are ultra diluted, there is nothing left in them. But modern research in nanoscience has shown otherwise. That technique like transmission electron actually detect nanoparticles in potencies that go way beyond Avogadro limits. So nothing is their argument does not hold up anymore. And the third, some people say homeopathy research is unscientific. That again is misleading. Homeopathy use proper scientific methods, randomized trials, observational models, lab experiments, but of course, we adapt them to match our principle, especially uh, individualization. Now, how do we address this misconception? A few simple but powerful steps are: first, we need to publish more often in non-homeopathy journals, so the wider medical community sees the data. Second, we should use clear and comparable terminology, not just our organon, so mainstream research understand what we mean. And third, we should keep presenting robust data from both basic sciences and clinical studies, because strong evidence is the best way to counter prejudice.
Dr. Kanchan, how can repertory and case record analysis be used to generate reliable research data in homeopathy? Can you please put a light on it?
Yes, definitely. So, repertory, a very crucial subject in homeopathy. So, and it is very helpful in clinical cases also. So, repertory is we all know that it is a structured indexing of the symptoms and making it more data organized form, right? So, there are some basic steps like digitize all cases into a software where the rubrics and remedies are coded. So the data is organized in such a way that this patient has these many symptoms and these were the rubrics and these were the coding which is given to the symptom wise, right? The next, that is the analysis of the data. Next is mining the data, and that is for the remedy frequency and rubric prevalence, you can say, for all the successful cases. If this kind of organization is done, then this is very helpful in making a case which is successfully treated into a research paper. It really helps to convert the cases. This is how the systematic reviews are also very easy to make, right? If we see some systematic, if we see some review articles, and we have to make a systematic review from different research papers, so it becomes very difficult unless we don't have a proper data which is organized, or which were the rubrics were taken and which common rubrics were found in all those cases. Next is cross compare the remedies that is used in similar clinical conditions. Otherwise, it is of no use. If there were no similar conditions, we cannot make a differentiating point, right? So it is to identify the high response patterns of the remedies. So such analysis produces the publishable, statistically significant findings while retaining the depth of homeopathic philosophy. So the depth of homeopathic philosophy will be retained, but we are doing the publication, we are using the statistics, which is very important. Theory cannot make it a good paperwork for publishing or to challenge the other pathies or anything or any treatment if someone has already taken steroids or antibiotics for years, but with the help of homeopathy individualization, the patient has got improvement. So if we have to challenge, if we are supposed to make a differentiating point between both the pathies or the kind of treatment he or she has taken, then it is important to make a clear point that yes, the statistical data proves it well. So this is important.
Yes, true. Case analysis is basically a logical way to prescribe, and we should not lose that uniqueness of homeopathy. That is for sure. And my next question is for Dr. Shibashish. Sir, what policy level interventions are needed to ensure homeopathy research gets equal recognition and support?
Okay. So what?
Sir, shall I repeat my question?
So I have got your question. Am I audible? I think there's some network issue. So am I audible now?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So what we need to do is we need to create a level playing field for homeopathy and homeopathic research so that we can ensure that we can get a policy level intervention is needed. We need an equal recognition. So we need to create a uniform level playing field for our homeopathic researches. What we need is inclusion of homeopathy in a national research priorities. Then we need a dedicated research budget and grant for homeopathy. We all must realize that what we have a shot at, we all are fighting for the Ayush sector, and we all are fighting for a chunk of it. So we need a dedicated research budget and grant for homeopathy, aligned with the percentage of population using it, so that we don't have to compete with all other Ayush system for a small pool of resources. This requirement should be presented to the Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Finance, not as a demand, but as just presented as a strategic investment in public health. Then we can mandate, if there's an, it could be mandated to have an equal representation of homeopathic experts in research ethic boards and health advisory panels of various levels. This could help, and should some make the policy changes so that there are dedicated research chair in universities from the homeopathic research methodologies, so that we get our problems could be well represented, so that the nuances of homeopathy could be well represented. It is not about getting more fund, but rather creating a sustainable ecosystem of respect and recognition. That is what we need to do.
Mr. Abhishek, how can basic laboratory or in vitro research help bridge the gap between homeopathic principles and conventional science?
See, laboratory studies provide a controlled environment where the action of a homeopathy dilutions can be objectively measured. They bypass the complexity of human and focus on direct biological effects. So now let me give you some examples that nanoparticle research has shown that even in very high dilutions, there are still measurable particles. This gives us a possible physical explanation on how remedies might act. Gene expression studies in cell culture have shown that some ultra dilutions can actually change the way certain genes behave. That's direct biological evidence. Enzyme assays, for example, testing remedies on enzyme like catalase or amylase, show clear patterns of activation or inhibition. Okay. So this type of lab research is like a bridge. It speaks in the same language as modern science, molecular biology, chemistry, physics, and that makes it much more easier for mainstream researchers to see that homeopathy action is not mystical but scientifically testable. Okay.
Okay. Dr. Kanchan, what role can integration with allopathic diagnostic tools play in strengthening homeopathic research credibility?
So first of all, allopathic diagnostics don't change the remedy selection process. The remedy selection process is the same, but they aid in some things, like they provide the baseline management, or you can say the measurement of the disease severity. And we know that how severe the disease is. Second thing, they offer objective evidence of the disease or of the improvement, both disease and the improvement, the objective evidence we can take from the allopathic diagnostics. For example, like a patient has arthritis and there is some improvement in arthritis. So how this can be depicted? So if we see this improvement through the X-ray, that is an improved X-ray. So this gives an objective, objective, you can say the objective evidence this is, and this helps us to see, yes, okay, there is some improvement, and this also makes the case stronger. Likewise, if there is a viral load, then if there is improvement in the viral load, for example, in hepatitis cases, then it makes it stronger. Like most people say that homeopathy cannot offer uh, treatment to the hepatitis or jaundice, but we all have somehow, many of us have treated the cases of jaundice very easily. In fact, with aconite also, which I have treated with water dose of aconite. So these are some examples which I can give you. One more thing, that is the interdisciplinary trust, which can be maintained through allopathic diagnostics. So when we have this qualitative data also, quantitative and both qualitative data, this makes our cases stronger for publication and it increases the opportunities for collaborative research.
My question is for Dr. Shibashish. How can homeopathy research findings be effectively communicated to mainstream medical journals and policymakers to overcome skepticism?
A clear, transparent communication is the key to acceptance and integration. An excellent research is useless if it just stays within our own echo chamber. So, for a clear and transparent communication, first of all, we need, or what we must do, is to speak the universal language of science. That is to represent our findings in standard language of modern medical researchers. That is adhering strictly to the reporting guidelines, the standard reporting guidelines that is followed in the scientific communities. For example, the consort guideline for clinical trials or the scope for the observational studies. And our focus should be on the clinically relevant outcomes. Did the patient's disease symptoms For example, asthma symptoms decrease? Was there a reduction in use of the conventional medicines? Was there some significant changes in quality of life, etc.? So along with the subjective changes, okay, I feel like the patient is feeling better. Instead of doing just that, it feels better or the pain is low, we should also highlight on the objective measure. For example, a lowered CRP level could be a good indicator for joint. So instead of going just for the subjective thing, our focus should also be on the objective measures. Next, we need to target a right journal with the right data. Instead of aiming only for these homeopathy specific journals, only or some niche medical academic journals, let's open our horizon. Let's not be limited in our scope, our reach. A high quality observational studies or a pragmatic trial could as well be published in care or integrative medicine journals. Some health economic studies showing the cost effectiveness of homeopathy in managing some chronic disease are incredibly powerful and administrators and health economists for whom this economy of treatment does matters. So instead of just being in the sandbox or living in our echo chamber, we could expand our horizon. Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible now.
Yeah. So as we are saying that our thing is that in homeopathy, if we can target the right journals with the right, also realize that anyone hardly likes to read 20, 30 pages long scientific papers. Even whoever we ask them to read one after another scientific papers, they get easily fatigued and tired. These words full of scientific jargon. So what we need now, we are now approaching someone for the policymakers and others for presentations, and what we should do is we should now condense our findings into policy briefs and should be engaging in dialogues. A policy brief that should be crisp, visually clear, and should state the problems, show that what our findings are, and should have clear policy recommendations. For example, we may present something like our multi-center study on say about 5,000 or 10,000 society could reduce the reliance on the conventional medicines like benzodiazepine by about 50%. This can save our health system an estimated X crore rupees. Now, what we have done over here is we have, in brief, explained that what we have done, what our study have achieved, and then what would be their implication, and have suggested some policy changes, like we have given a clear-cut recommendations. So this language of impact, and it's the language this should be driving our changes. We should have such clear and crisp presentations. It's not pages after pages of writings and scientific thing to our policymakers or someone of that sort. So our communications must be professional. It should be evidence-based, and it should be transparent about whether the limitations or the shortcomings we have, and should be focusing on a shared goal of improving patients' health.
Thank you
So I
much.
guess if we could achieve such measures,
Mhm.
then such effective communication in medical journals and policymakers to overcome their skepticism.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, all of you, for such insightful responses to all the queries. And we are now open for questions. If the participants have any questions to our panelists, they can write it down to the chat box. Anyone would like to share their views on the challenges in research in homeopathy, they can share. We have Dr. Danish with us, I will invite him for sharing his views. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sweta Singh. It was really an excellent session, and the young generation doctors are as good as anyone, because they are having a research in their mind, and that itself, the quality of the doctor will that itself indicate the power of their intense knowledge in homeopathy and intense desire to become very good doctors as well as researchers. We know that some people used to say that homeopathy is not a scientific system and it is a pseudoscience. But this kind of research work will definitely take up to the level of the other systems that are saying that they are scientific. But we know that scientificity can be defined in different ways. And the point suggested by these young guys are really excellent. And we will have to look into these kind of things, and we will have to forward these things to our CCRH and such people who are doing great work for homeopathy. Unfortunately, they are not. These works are not reaching to the common people, and that's the reason why people used to say that it is not scientific. So what we need is take these things into newspapers and other weekly periodicals as well as magazines, uh, so that people will know that this is what is happening with homeopathy. That is a big challenge for us. So what we can do is as you all know, our great Prakash Rao sir used to say that if all of you are doing research work in your clinic, but we are not realizing what is happening with your research work in the clinic. Because when you, for example, I can suggest a thing that when there was a outbreak, there was an outbreak of this chikungunya in Kerala. Nearly 200 people died of that in the beginning because that time none of us know that what we can do with this kind of disease. But once the patient used to come to us, we find that there is nothing, there is no need of to change our policy or attitude towards treating such diseases. And what happened was within 3 to 5 days, most of the cases were cured. And I was working as the district president of one of our organization. What we did was I called a professional videographer to my clinic and asked him to take all these videos of the patients. And after 3 days, again I called him to the clinic from 9:30 to 6:30 p.m. And in between, we got several cases that came on the first day, also came back to me on the third day. On what the results were excellent, and we were able to produce a video out of that, and we were able to produce the same in front of these media people for at a press conference at our district orders. And on the very next day itself, they published 5-column news on the front page of most of the people, most of the newspapers, and they told the public that homeopathy has a solution for this chikungunya. And thereafter, what happened was people were running towards every homeopath. So that's a big boost for we didn't realize that what we are doing was a research work. Actually, it was a research work. So this kind of research work are going. We will have to change it, think in that way, and we will have to publish things. Not only publishing in some of the homeopathic articles. There is no meaning in that. That will be that benefited for some of the future generation. But we need to propagate homeopathy among public so that we will have to put forward the research work to public. Thank you, and Dr. Seda and those participants here. Excellent session.
Dr. Dhanesh, I would like to add something to what you have said. I completely agree with you. But we have seen that our researchers, whatever is done, is now getting limited to a peer-reviewed high-quality journals. Whatever work we have done or whatever the CCIH is doing and whatever we are doing. So what remains is this effect of this research. Neither do they reach the common homeopath because most of us, the clinicians, they're hardly going to reach those peer-reviewed and high-sounding journals. So it don't reach them. Our researchers, we have probably started from our 80s. None of them has trickled down to our textbooks. So common homeopath, mostly they would be hearing this and that in some seminars. And that also in current trends where these papers are being discussed, often the terms, the language that has been used is not very much relevant or not well heard of by the common people. They don't understand those research terminology. The common homeopath, the common clinicians don't understand. So we are not even being able to present our result, what we have come into our upcoming generations. So there remains a wide gap in that. The next thing, as you have highlighted quite well, that common people should also know that homeopathy can do this. Let's take example that homeopathy can work the ultra dilution, the nanoparticles theory, and whatever theories up there. Let's talk to students. Hardly any of them know about that. A few of that have been incorporated in a pharmacy books very recently. But what about the clinical researches going on? What about the drug symptoms that have been updated? This one has been done. It's not reaching them. For the common people, that homeopathy can act in acute diseases also, in emergency also. There remains a wide gap. So we need to communicate to the policymakers that, and also to the college and institutes, to set up certain specific or well-designed clinic or outdoor where these things can be managed, especially these problems could be addressed. So that could be a good measure. And just as we see for the modern medicines, when we do something new, we are opening this unit, we are opening that unit. Let it trickle down to the common paper, newspaper. And that's how we may communicate. Whenever we are doing a seminars, we should have some press outings. So I think we probably, if we could think that way, it could help us. And our researchers should trickle down into our syllabus and studies also. So that's it.
Sir, I think CCRH is working towards bridging this gap between, research among the students and the practitioners, and because they are involving colleges into it, and they are guiding the students through their MD courses or through their BHMS courses how to conduct research in a systematic way. So now the generation who is coming, who is passing out, they know what is research. In our time, it is not like that. So we are lacking in that. But nowadays, these students definitely they come and they learn what is research and how we can conduct. They are coming with their ideas, their innovations in research, and there are things like STSH programs where they are being motivated by CCRH or our council regarding this. So this is my take on this thing. But things are changing. They are also involving practitioners. They are who are really doing wonders in homeopathy. I would not taking names of them, but they are taking datas. They are doing, they are helping them in their retrospective data analysis, so that we can come with that evidence. I know we don't know, the common practitioners don't know how to record their cases. But being a homeopath, being a general physician, being a common homeopathic practitioner, we can contribute by writing some case reports or case studies or a case series. We can write it down. If we don't know, we can at least start doing this, because that will also enrich our data. That will also support our homeopathic data, and that will promote the evidence-based homeopathy in that way. So we should start. If we don't know, we can get in touch with those people who know how to write a case. I know it is difficult with the hundreds of patients in the OPD, but I think we should do that in our free time, or we should take out some time for this writing, so that we can also contribute to that evidence towards homeopathy, and this will strengthen our homeopathy in that way. Anybody else would like to say anything, or would like to share their views? So shall we conclude?
Yes, Dr. Shweta, thank you. And you're actually doing a commendable job partnering with the institutes. They are recently conducting some training programs also. They're implementing STSs. They're building a research temperament.
Yes.
But what remains is that and now they're working with the practitioners and so that they could build up a database. They're working with various organizations, institutes. But
Yes.
what happens is we have the data. We are creating a huge bulk of paper data and now we can prove to the scientific community that yes, homeopathy do works. But
Yes.
what we need is that outcome of the research. We have some outcome. Say this medicine can act on these things. Now these things need to trickle down to our books. Say we read our Metra Medica, all we get is something that has been done 100, 200 years ago. But all the researches, they never trickle down to our books. We are creating a huge amount of research. We are educating the students on how a research should be done, creating a research temperament. But unless our results trickle down to real life implications, like we have to not only prove it to the scientific community, but actually the benefit of the research should come as an out to the clinic. So we are doing it. What we are doing is we are creating the data for publication, creating a bulk and proving that we are acting, but it is not trickling down in our regular syllabus. As a result, we find suppose X remedy have disease symptoms. Yes, CCRH do have publication books where they have written down Metra Medicas also, but that's not incorporated in our syllabus. Or okay, this remedy has been proven this in a faraway country, but in Indian context in modern time, this is the chances that these symptoms are more prominent and these symptoms are getting less prominent. So this kind of changes would probably help. So actually the gap CCH is bridging is they are now creating a research temperament among students. Probably from the second year, they will be doing the STSH. They are doing it probably in a month or even fortnightly. They would be conducting some research methodology orientation sessions. Whatever an attempt has been made, but we have this gap that trickling down of a result into our mainstay. Say we haven't seen an update in our Metra Medica. Our staple book is again Allen, Boric and all. Now they have been created a work. That's a foundation. We have to develop on that or from our researches. So this thing need to come into our textbook. So that was my point. And yes, research is working. Our NCH is now trying to bridge all the gap. They are now focusing on not only on just this and that thing. The research methodology has been given a special place as a distinct subject. They're now giving more emphasis on biochemistry and all. So these are all positive things, but let's hope we also do get the benefits or trickle down in our books in what we read very soon.
Yes, sir, sure. Definitely, CCRH will work upon it and with more motivation. And as we as we come to the close of this insightful session, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed panelists for sharing their valuable perspectives, experiences, and expertise. Your thoughtful contributions have truly enriched today's discussion and given us much to reflect upon. And we deeply appreciate the time and effort you devoted to making this webinar a meaningful and a worthy experience for all. And thank you once again. And we look forward to more such enriching exchanges in the future. And we have lined up some more panel discussions upon research in research challenges in homeopathy. So I will definitely put these questions of Dr. SHIBASHIS to our next panelist, definitely. And thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have Dr. Ram Pravesh Shah with us. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta Singh, and panel discussion, Dr. Abhishek Singh, Dr. Kanchan, Dr. SHIBASHIS Mukherjee. Very nice discussion, development of homeopathic research work. Uh, very thanks. Research work and homeopathic research, government sector जो है not support, government sector not support. It is homeopathic benefit in India patient, homeopathic benefit, and homeopathic science really great science, scientific science, gently, rapidly, and permanently science, and chronic case. So very thanks. Very exciting.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Shweta.
Thank you, sir.
Shweta Singh to come over here and moderate the session for IFPH.
It's my
And
pleasure.
thank you, Dr. Shibashis Mukherjee. Thank you, Dr. Kanchan Pridi and Dr. Abhishek. Thank you all. It's the time to wind up the session. We can hand over the session to Malayalam team. There is an announcement from IFPH. As you all know, the International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy is celebrating its 5th anniversary on 28th September at Tajview and Cochin. We hope all of you will register for the same. Please come to the one-to-one meeting there. We can have discussions. We can have question and answer session. There will be some short presentation. It all begins at 8 a.m. and end up by 6 p.m. with some cultural programs. The registration fee is rupees 3,000 per person. So we have a lot of registration coming and hope all of you will come with us. Thank you all. Good night. It's over to Dr. P. Shaila to moderate the Malayalam session.